Facing a midlife crisis? Find courage in everyday women's stories. Subscribe to Resilient Women Rising.
The Lighthouse Keeper's Secret, a 47-year-old widow's journey to love and redemption. The wind howled across the cliffs of Storm Haven, tugging at Mara Kendrick's coat as she stood at the edge of the world. At 47, she was a widow 5 years into a solitude. She hadn't chosen staring up at the crumbling lighthouse. She just inherited from a grandfather she barely remembered. Its chipped white paint flaked in the salty air, and the lantern atop flickered weakly, a ghost of its former glory. Mara's boots crunched on the gravel path as she clutched the rusted key, her heart pounding with equal parts dread and curiosity. She'd come to this remote coastal town to sell the place and leave her past behind. But the letter tucked in her pocket hinted at secrets buried within its walls, secrets that might unravel her carefully guarded life. Little did she know, the lighthouse wasn't the only thing waiting to be restored. Mara's first glimpse of Storm Haven was through a rain-streaked bus window, a sleepy fishing village nestled between jagged cliffs and a restless sea. The town square bustled with life despite the drizzle fishermen hauling nets, children darting between market stalls, and the scent of smoked fish mingling with damp earth. She'd arrived with a single suitcase, her graying auburn hair pulled into a messy bun, and a resolve to tie up this loose end quickly. Her husband, Daniel, had died in a car accident 5 years earlier, and since then, Mara had lived in a haze of grief, working endless shifts at a diner in Portland to keep the emptiness at bay. The lighthouse was her chance to start over, or so she told herself. The townsfolk eyed her curiously as she trudged up the winding path to the lighthouse, her coat soaked by the time she reached the door. The key turned with a groan, and she stepped inside, coughing as dust swirled around her. The interior was a time capsule, faded nautical charts pinned to the walls, a spiral staircase caked in rust, and a logbook on a weathered table, its pages yellowed and curling. She flipped it open, her breath catching at her grandfather's spidery handwriting to the keeper. "Who comes after me, guard the light. It holds more than you know." That evening, as Mara lit a fire in the small keeper's cottage, beside the lighthouse, a knock startled her. She opened the door to find a man standing in the dusk, his broad shoulders framed by a wool sweater, a lantern dangling from his hand. "Evening," he said, his voice low and gravelly. "I'm Elias Reed. Live down the hill." Saw the smoke and figured someone finally showed up. Mara blinked, brushing ash from her hands. "Mara Kendrick. I just got here." Elias nodded, his hazel eyes catching the firelight. "Heard about old man Kendrick passing. Sorry for your loss. You planning to stay?" "Not if I can help it," she said with a wry smile. "This place is a wreck. I'm here to sell." He chuckled, a sound that warmed the chilly room. "Good luck with that. Storm Haven's not exactly a hot market. Need help with anything?" She hesitated, then nodded. "The lantern's out. I don't even know where to start." Elias spent the next hour showing her how to climb the rickety stairs, refill the oil, and crank the ancient mechanism. As the light sputtered to life, casting a golden beam across the waves, he grinned. "There, you're a keeper now." Mara laughed despite herself. "Hardly, but thanks." Over the next few days, Elias became a fixture in Mara's routine. He'd appear with a thermos of coffee or a basket of scones from his sister's bakery, offering tips on fixing leaks or navigating the town's quirks. At 50, Elias was a fisherman turned carpenter, his hands rough from years of hauling nets and sanding wood. He'd lived in Storm Haven all his life, a bachelor with a quiet strength and a dry sense of humor that chipped away at Mara's walls. One afternoon, as they sat on the cottage porch, watching gulls wheel overhead, he asked, "What brought you here, really? Most folks don't inherit a lighthouse and actually show up." Mara traced the rim of her mug, debating how much to share. "I needed a change. My husband died 5 years ago, and I've been stuck. This was a way out." Elias nodded, his gaze softening. "Lost my dad to the sea when I was a kid. Took me years to stop blaming the world for it." "You're braver than you think coming here." Her throat tightened, but she managed a small smile. "Or crazier. Little of both, maybe," he teased. And they laughed, the sound mingling with the crash of waves below. Mara's curiosity about the lighthouse grew as she cleaned its nooks and crannies. One stormy night, she found a hidden compartment beneath a loose, floorboarded tin box containing a locket, a faded photograph of a young woman, and a letter dated 1947. Her grandfather's words spilled across the page. "I hid the truth to protect her. If you found this, you're the one to make it right." The photograph showed a woman with Mara's eyes, standing beside the lighthouse. A note on the back read, "Eleanor, my love." Confused, Mara dug through the logbook again, piecing together clues. Her grandfather had been the keeper during World War II, and Eleanor, her grandmother, she realized had vanished one night, presumed drowned. The town whispered of a scandal, but no one knew the full story. She showed the findings to Elias, who frowned. "There's an old legend here. They say the lighthouse holds a treasure, something a keeper hid during the war. Folks thought it was gold, but maybe it's this." Together, they searched, uncovering more, a map etched into the lantern room's wall, leading to a cave beneath the cliffs. Armed with flashlights and determination, they ventured in, the tide roaring at their heels. Inside, they found a chestnut of gold, but of letters and trinkets. A love story between her grandparents cut short by war and secrets. Eleanor hadn't drowned, she'd fled, pregnant to protect her unborn child, Mara's mother, from a dangerous past her grandfather couldn't escape. The discovery shook Mara. She'd spent her life feeling abandoned by her mother, who died young, and now she understood why. But as she grappled with her family's legacy, a new storm brewed. A developer arrived in Stormhaven, offering a fortune to buy the lighthouse and turn it into a tourist trap. The money-tempted Marash could pay off her debts, start fresh, but it meant losing the place that had begun to feel like home. Elias urged her to fight. "This isn't just a building. It's your story now." His belief in her stirred something fierce, but doubt lingered. Then one night, her daughter Lily called from Seattle. "Mom, are you okay out there? I miss you." Tears welled as Mara confessed her fears. Lily's voice steadied her. "You're not alone anymore. Keep the lighthouse. It's yours." The developer's deadline loomed, and Mara made her choice. With Elias's help, she rallied the town fishermen, shopkeepers, even the cranky librarian to save the lighthouse. They held a festival, raising funds to restore it, and the developer, outmatched, backed off. Through it all, Elias stood by her, his quiet presence a lifeline. One evening, as the restored lantern blazed across the sea, he took her hand. "Mara, I've been alone a long time. Didn't think I'd find someone worth changing that for. But you're it." Her heart raced. "I'm a mess, Elias. Widowed, stubborn, still figuring myself out." "Good thing I like messes," he said, pulling her close. She laughed, then kissed him, the salt of the sea on their lips. A year later, the lighthouse was a beacon for Stormhaven Park Museum. Heart Community Hub. Its light steady and strong, Mara and Elias ran it together, their love a quiet, resilient thing. She'd framed her grandparents' letters, a testament to love's endurance, and found peace in her own story. At 47, Mara Kendrick had rebuilt more than a lighthouse. She'd rebuilt herself with a man who saw her light and chose to stay.